I want to pick up on two stories. The first is Prince Harry's appearance on television, but the second is Meghan and user Z01UU7PZ1W. I don't understand this. Says, I made a video yesterday about Meghan and her father and why it would be a good thing to try and patch things up. I had a disagreement with my father, which blew up remarkably after my mother's death, the day after my mother's funeral, and we never spoke again. Admittedly, he beat me up, and kicked me, but nevertheless, even now, some 40 years after his death, I still think, what if? And I think I did the right thing, of course, but it doesn't stop the what ifs. So user Z01 says, that's none of your business. Meghan isn't English and is no longer part of your monarchy. She is cleared out and owes you no explanation. Leave her alone. Actually, she remains the Duchess of Sussex, and in the same way that I would call on the Prince of Wales to move towards healing the rift with his brother, so too there is a rift healing to be done in the wider Meghan household. The concept of the royal family is about setting an example and using the iconography of familial reciprocity and harmony to foster respect and hope in a broader sense. And Meghan has picked up the idea of a public role as a leader of part of the household of Windsor, and she has not relinquished that. Prince Harry's surprise appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was meant to be light, festive entertainment. Instead, it's ignited remarkable vitriol in parts of the American media, especially Fox News, and the central criticism has been his attempt at satire fell flat. I'm sure it was scripted for him, and that the spectacle of a British prince trading in self-mockery comes across as undignified rather than witty. I thought he performed very well in a very so what was it? I was going to say flat-faced. Well, he didn't crack a smile anyway. But beginning with the essentials, Harry's sketch involved him auditioning to play a Christmas prince in a fictional Hallmark movie. It relied on three themes he presumably hoped would be endearing, and I think they were: the US fascination with royalty, the self-depreciating charm of a spare-turn showbiz hopeful, and a bit of political irreverence directed at the US president. The line about America having elected a king was a transparent jab at Donald Trump. It earned pantomime boos in the room, but little praise outside it. I don't understand why not. Here lies the issue, though. Harry's public persona has always relied on sincerity and vulnerability. When those qualities are absent, the performance risks feeling hollow. His delivery has neither the snap of professional comedy nor the slightly menacing absurdity that made Prince Philip's faux pas so interesting and so fascinating. This left viewers unsure whether to laugh, wince, or simply check their watches. Critics have not been charitable. The insults hurled at Fox News were brutal, branding him a disgraced loser, claiming to split his family to go rogue. One might dismiss that as partisan outrage, but the discomfort has been voiced in the UK by commentators who see this as yet another moment where the Sussex brand misunderstands the link and the line between reinvention and reputational collapse. Harry, we're told, wants to reinvent himself, but reinvention must be rooted in something authentic. Since leaving the monarchy, he's floated between memoirist, documentarian, podcast cameo, motivationalist speaker, and now comedy performer. None of these hats quite fit, partly because he's supported by people who don't know how to do the writing, I think. His memoir was appallingly written, and the jokes last night or the other night on the Stephen Colbert show were appallingly written. That's not a moral failing, but it becomes troubling when the search for relevance is so visible on screen. Public sympathy hinges on clarity of purpose. Princess Diana found it through humanitarian work. Prince William has leaned into conservation, mental health and constitutional duty. Meghan, whatever one thinks of her, has a clear ambition for media projects. Harry lacks that anchor. His supporters speak of service, advocacy and public good. His detractors speak of vanity and resentment. The Late Show cameo did nothing to settle the debate. There's also the political angle. A prince mocking an American head of state is always risky. When that head of state has fiercely loyal support base that opposes Harry and a penchant for retribution, the risk multiplies. Harry could once rely on diplomatic neutrality. By choosing to poke the bear publicly, he has invited the scrutiny and scorn of a huge portion of the US audience he now relies on for income. And yet there is still a case for generosity. Harry has been through an extraordinarily personal upheaval. He is clearly trying to find a place on the stage, that he is no longer gilded on the stage where he is no longer part of the gilding of the crown. He has moved halfway across the world, become a father, attempted to build a new life under relentless scrutiny. The instinct to try too hard is human. It's sympathetic, even if it misfires. The wiser path forward is obvious. When Prince Harry speaks seriously about trauma, the military, veterans, race, and his own mistakes, he connects. His authenticity has always been his greatest asset. He must rediscover that and use it with restraint. Fame is not the same as purpose. And in time, the Colbert cameo will be forgotten, but the lesson is here. The public will forgive honest evolution, but they have little patience for a prince auditioning for approval he doesn't need. The most dignified thing he could do now is stop performing for applause and start acting from conviction, and whatever he does, find people who can actually write the lines that he's going to say and rehearse them with him so that he doesn't trip over his own feet. Until then, I fear we may have to keep watching through our fingers, but I find Harry, really whatever he does, remains lovable and vulnerable, and my heart goes out to him, really. He's struggling to define himself, and he is surrounded by people who do not help. And I find that terribly, terribly sad. And equally, back in the UK, the royal family does not help. He's not renounced the royal family. He's just moved to another country, not unlike Beatrice and Eugenie. They have not been sidelined. They have been welcomed, in fact encouraged, into the heart of the family, despite the misdoings of their parents. I don't understand why it is one rule for Prince Harry and another rule for lesser royals.